Oh, I love it.
Going for that copyright strike right off the bat.
Sorry, really sorry, but
I love it.
I couldn't resist.
That's all right. That's a great one. That's a great one. I love it.
And as we close out winter,
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're getting into spring. So welcome everybody who has signed on already. Thanks for doing that. So we're going to run through a handful of things tonight. We're going to do our typical Micro Galaxy roundup here on all of the classes or series. We'll talk about some of the more recent things that have come out here since we were last on. And then we'll wrap up with whatever questions anybody's got. So I'll go ahead and start us here with the Roundup Series 1. The one thing that's been really interesting about Series 1, for some reason, some Walmarts have found a case of Series 1 Starfighter class. So I've seen actually a full case of Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. And I've seen the case that comes with the X-Wing, the Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. So it's pretty interesting to see that pop up out there out of nowhere because I haven't seen any Starfighter class Series 1 stuff in a long time.
my question is why?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder whether or not... So
They found them under a shelf or something.
You know, jumping ahead to Series 3 as well, I've seen Series 3 Starfighter class stuff show up in Walmarts and in Targets, which is interesting. Like, I guess they're finding these boxes that are stuck somewhere back in the storeroom and they're just taking it out and throwing them up there. So anyway, so Series 1, that was interesting to see with that. Ventress is still out there in force. You've got the Troop Transport, which is clearanced in all Walmarts everywhere. The price varies, so anywhere from $4.50, which I actually saw and I was able to grab a couple at $4.50, up to like $7 or $9 or something like that. I haven't seen a post in a while where they've been over $7, but and that's for both Boonta Eve and the Troop Transport. And then that's pretty much it on Series 1. I haven't seen anything else. I'm sure there's some stragglers of blind boxes out there in a couple places. I know some of the other stores like Meyer and Fred Meyer have some leftover stuff in there as well, Starfighter and Light Armor class. But mainly it's going to be the Ventress that you'll see still hanging out at Walmarts. I would imagine, I don't know what they're going to do with that, but anyways. That is really Series 1. Oh, actually, you know, another thing I saw is a couple of the Walmarts here had clearanced out all of the Starship stuff, like the Arvala 7 and whatever else there was in that one. And I saw like 4 of the Arvala 7s out for $25 on clearance, which was another interesting one to see that out there. So
not much of a deal.
No, it's not much of a deal at all.
Walmart starts their clearance at about 5% off, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
You walk down the clearance aisle and the first section of them, it's like, that's what the price is just supposed to be. Like,
right.
That's why they mark MGS up, you know, $3 or so on everything. So when they do that first round of clearance, it's just back down to what it's supposed to cost.
Sure. Yep. And then Dave, how about Series 2?
Actually, I did see some people finding some Series 2 at Targets, just single boxes of stuff. I forget what it was. It might have been the Battle Droid. If someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Somebody found the AAT tank as well as the Merrick, Antox Merrick. Yep.
But it was just one. It wasn't like an entire case.
That was at least what they found in the back when they went back there. But yep. Yeah, and then hey Damon, the Series 2 again at I think Fred Meyer's or Meyer, in either one of those still have some Series 2. There's the price on it is still a little bit high. I think they were all priced high anyways. I want to say they were like $18 or something like that for Starfighter class.
There's
feeders and stuff like that that are still out there.
Yeah. And then besides that, with the waves from GameStop back in December, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and those are still out there. I mean, I think whatever they got in, whatever their one Starfighter class vehicle that they got in is still sitting there on their shelves.
Yeah.
So
I actually just went to my closest GameStop the other day, and I think somebody just bought the Snowspeeder.
Oh, nice.
They're gone from my stores too.
Are they? The Snowspeeder is cool, man. I cannot believe the Snowspeeder was a peg warmer. That just seems like a total army builder type of vehicle, and it's so cool. I think it's awesome. That's just me personally.
Is it just me, or does it sound like there's like a tiny little thing in your head playing a recorder? Do you hear that?
I don't hear that.
I hear like a whistling.
I hear it too.
Okay.
You hear whistling?
Yeah.
When I speak?
I tried muting my mic.
I did too. I still hear it.
And it's not me.
No? Does it sound like a purring cat?
It sounds more like a recorder. Somebody playing a recorder. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's Ken can hear it on his end. So it is. Is it Mauricio? Do we know if it's Mauricio for some reason?
I have no idea. It sounds like a whistling.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a
very faint.
Yeah, it's awful.
Wow. Really?
I didn't know if it was just me, but it's been hard to concentrate on what you're saying because the pitch is changing too.
Is it more when I'm talking than when Dave's talking?
Well, can you mute yourself and see? It's you. Is your AC blowing right into your mic or something?
No, it's not. But let me change computers. I'm gonna sign off really quick. You guys just freewheel it. I'll be right back.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not just me. Thanks, Rich and Ken, for confirming that.
I was going nuts. I didn't know what the hell it was.
It was driving me crazy. I saw you mute your mic, and I was like, "Oh, he hears it too. He hears it too." We're like sneakily trying to troubleshoot this terrible thing.
I was ready to get like a headset and everything.
Yeah, I was ready to take an ear out. I'm like, "Is this something not in the stream? Like, is something outside my house?
Is this a test?"
Oh man, well, I don't know how long switching computers is going to take for him.
Yeah. So we were talking about Series 2. That was pretty much it. But I don't want to start going off on a tangent when he's not here either.
Yeah. Well, that's fine because Series 3 has been pretty chill. I don't think there's been a whole lot going on with that. I think GameStops are getting Series 3 cases still. I still every now and then see a Series 3 case at GameStop. And then there's Vault, who apparently is slowly making their way. Hey,
I'm back.
No tiny gremlin playing a recorder.
Okay. All right. That computer
that's amazing.
That computer is super old, and it's got a fan. Like every time I have it on, the fan kicks on. So I wonder whether or not that's what you were hearing is the fan rolling. But
maybe.
All right, there we go. Now you can hear me. So I went on.
Fixed, so I don't care whatever it was. It's great. It's gone.
Okay, love it.
I'm hearing it again.
Are you?
No.
Okay, good. Well, I went with the more expensive computer, so I'm just going to have to do that in the future. So what were you guys talking about?
We were just getting into Series 3.
Okay, Series 3, yep.
I've seen a couple cases at GameStop of the blinds still, and then we've got the Vault slowly making its way through Series 3 to save anybody who did not find everything in stores.
Yeah, I mean, and the one thing that's going to be...
And I'm sure we'll touch on all that later with all things Vault, but...
Yeah, for sure. So we'll save that for a little bit later.
Yeah.
But, so that's Series 3 again. I've seen some pop up in the one Walmart near me. They got a full case of Anakin's Jedi Starfighter. So they now have a full case of Series 3 Anakin's Jedi Starfighter and Series 1 Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter.
You wonder if that's who that's coming from. Is that Walmart distribution doing something with that?
I don't
Trying
know.
to ship stuff to stores to get it out, or are
It's
they getting
possible.
old solid cases from Jazwares?
It sure
Strange.
seems like it would be something that they would be just shipping out internally. Although there was a Walmart I went to a couple weeks back that is not anywhere near where I would typically go. It's like out in Columbia, Maryland, and they had probably 15 of Luke's Luke's X-wing, his standard X-wing, and 15 of Darth Vader's TIE fighter. It was amazing. Like, I went in there and I was like,
That's
oh my
a
god,
lot.
there's a ton of Micro Galaxy stuff, and it was probably 30 of them. Like, they were all over. The pegs were completely full, and then they had a bunch of them down on the bottom, and they had a bunch of them up on the top. And I was like, wow, this is really weird. I actually went to a Target recently, and in the Target, they had probably 20. I mean, I almost sent you a picture, Cole, because I was like, wow, this is amazing. 20 of the client, the Black Series figure. They had no other Black Series figures other than the client. And it was 2 full pegs of them. And then there was probably another 5 or 10 of them down on the bottom.
Yeah, that's insane. That tells me it's got to be something that Walmart is doing, just shifting around inventory. Like, they're moving inventory to stores that are selling, they think. So they're just dropping. Target will do that sometimes too.
Yeah.
They're just shuffling inventory around to a store where they think it has a chance of moving.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
I've got the client on one of these shelves somewhere, right over here, off screen.
I've got him in like some bin that, like,
he's holding his Camtono.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is I have only seen that one. I've maybe seen one other one around, but I haven't seen the client in stores. And I've just seen that one big set of them, which was really funny.
What's the biggest peg warmer? Lando, the client, or Ventress?
Ventress.
And it's got to be Lando.
Yeah, Lando.
Because Lando's been doing it for half a decade now. I mean, it's just, the problem is it's Lando after Lando after Lando figure. It was like, the Empire one peg warmed forever, and then the TVC version of it came out, and that one peg warmed. And then they released Return of the Jedi, and then they came out with the 40th version of the same figure that peg warmed.
They're just trying to get as much out of that figure as they can, man.
It's been wild. They've double packed him in
Luke,
cases.
The client is from The Mandalorian. It's the Werner Herzog, or whatever his name is.
They're great figures. I've bought them all.
Yeah.
I just question packing those more than anything else in cases.
Yeah.
The double packing is an interesting tactic.
For sure. So then we got Series 4. So Series 4 is trickling out there as well. Well, actually, before we go on to Series 4, what else do we have Series 3? So we got Starship class. We had
a little mini sale. This has been several weeks now, but Target was trying to clear out the Grand Army.
Yep.
Gunships. Those were like $17.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, I've seen those. They actually got mistagged at one store for $9, so I picked up a couple of them, which is pretty sweet.
That's a great price. That's amazing.
So yeah, then the other stuff for actually Series 3 before we move on. So you've got the Inquisitor Scythe as well as the Mulus 10. Those are both on Amazon, and I think they're both discounted right now.
The Scythe, is it? I thought the Scythe was out of stock now.
No, it's maybe possible. Not. I was surprised. I saw it on there recently, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that's still out there. But you got then you move on to Series 4. So Series 4, the blind boxes, you're getting still a few of those out. I think GameStop did get a set of Series 4.
$45 from a third-party seller.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Amazon finally ran out of scythes.
Nice.
With
Well,
that last sale they did. Which, man, it's a great ship. Everybody that got one lucked out.
The figures are awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then you got Series 4, you got the Scout class. There aren't very many of those popping up anymore, but you got Light Armor class with the A-Wing and the Interceptor and the Royal Interceptor. Those have still been trickling out. I haven't seen a whole lot of the Royal Interceptors found here.
A lot slower, yeah. It's been. It seems like they've kind of slowed down a little bit on that Light Armor, which, as we may get to here in a second, is because they might be getting Series 5 already.
Yeah, exactly.
Which does not bode well for the land speeder.
Well, yes, and other than
Biggs.
Yeah, and Biggs, yep. So yeah, we'll keep going through that. So yeah, we missed out on the Bomber Biggs Y-Wing case pack, which is really disappointing because I had a couple bombers and that were damaged, and I had sent them back to Amazon, and I was like, man, if I had known that they were never going to hit stores, I would have kept them. Because I still need to get at least one more bomber. But the Imperial Shuttle, Target is left holding the bag there on that. They're the last ones to the game with getting those on the shelves. They're just going to sit there. And then also with the new Episode 1 stuff, beyond every one of us that got it, those things are just going to sit there until they hit clearance as well.
You think?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Well, I do think the timing of that is great because they've got them out and they're on shelves. Everybody that was into the line was able to pick it up. And now we're going to go into May, and that's going to be back in theaters for a week or so. And people are going to ride the hype of going to see it in theaters.
Yep.
And then, next thing they know, they're walking through Target and they're like, I just saw that in theaters. I remember that. I'm going to get that in one or whatever, So I do think that being in theaters and everybody knowing it's the anniversary because of whatever May 4th stuff happens, that might get a little bit of a pop from slightly more casual fans.
Yeah.
So the timing of that was great just because it'll be in theaters.
Yeah, I just hope it's not one of those situations where they clear that out and then they have a second order.
That'll be an issue. Yeah, I hope this was one big order and what's out there is out there. But I think Target potentially, if I don't know, with pre-orders not happening super far in advance, maybe they didn't have a lot to go off of to place another order.
Yeah,
for those. If the order's big enough, though, I'm sure Jazwares would definitely oblige them doing another production run of them,
coming up too,
like they did with the Grand Army sets, right? So, I mean, I hope that's it because I would hate to see them just sit there.
I know,
but
we really
I feel like it was a good amount, and the rollout was great, right? I mean, it I think most people that wanted one got it.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird that one went up for pre-order and one didn't. Kind of strange, but they were available, and between in-store pickup, going into stores and looking at shelves and shipping, pretty much everybody, I think was probably able to get what they wanted, which is great.
Yeah, they have done a nice job too with the display on that because they're putting it on an end cap.
End caps, yeah.
So you still have the regular MGS stuff that's in the middle of like the aisle or whatever, depends on how your Target's set up. But then they do have end caps because that was one of the things when I went maybe a few days after the release, or maybe it was 5 or 7 days or something. I went and I looked and I was like, oh man, there's nothing here. And then I kind of walked around and I was like, oh crap, there it is right there. And so There was a Shadow V-Wing sitting right there, which was nice. Grabbed that. And then, didn't get anything else. But
yeah, Series 4 is weird, man. The split case thing, I think, was a good idea.
Yeah.
I actually do like the idea of splitting some of that product up so it's not all hitting at one time.
Yeah.
And then you've got newer stuff on shelves longer, but the way it actually played out is not ideal at all. So
no,
I'm a little concerned what's going to happen to all that product, especially the rares and chases.
Yeah, hopefully they do go to Vault, and there is an.
I mean, we'll get the sets, we'll get the 1500, but that's certainly not what's. I don't think there's, another however many thousand red ties that have hit the shelves yet.
Yeah, for sure.
I did look at the calendar the other day. If they keep doing one set a month, I want to say August was when we should get that Series 4 light armor. I think that would be. Is that right?
That does sound
July,
right.
maybe.
Yeah,
assuming they follow some kind of order that and do one a month.
That sure would be nice if we're able to get two. I think a lot of us out there, or like some of the more hardcore collectors, like to have one in the box and one out. That would be nice to get two of them to be able to do that and have the option of being able to buy two.
Yeah, so maybe July might be when those would hit. So
gotcha.
Think they'll do anything for May the 4th?
Those would sell out so fast.
I know.
That land speeder and the red tie that nobody could get their hands on.
Yeah, and May 4th is when we're supposed to get Ghost pre-orders. That was what it was. That's what was mentioned, I think.
Allegedly, yeah.
Oh, the Ghost, that's right.
Which would be sweet. And if they have that Amazon exclusive Ghost that has the two Y-Wings with it.
Yeah, do we have any word on what the Y-Wings will be?
I think they're just the same thing.
Standard Y-Wing is what I would imagine.
The best I would realistically hope for is a small change to either the pilot or the droid.
Yeah.
I think at the very least, because the Y-Wing is very specifically Dutch, right?
Yes.
So if they could just put some like generic deco on the pilot and maybe the droid, that'd be the best I'd probably hope for with that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any significant changes. Hey, maybe it's not gold leader anymore. Maybe we're getting like blue. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you remember the show what they? I can't remember that scene in the show. I'm not even sure it was that version of the Y-Wing.
Yeah, there was an episode in Rebels. Two Y-Wings were escorting the Ghost in that like nebula or something. I know Ezra took over one of the Y-Wings. We might get Ezra.
Well, I think we will because it's got the Phantom packed in. So regardless, we'll have Phantom and Chopper for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The other things here, Series 4, you've got are the AT-AT, which is on clearance at Walmart and some Walmarts, not all. And then you got Endor AT-AT, which is still out there. Ahsoka Evolution Starfighter Pack, that thing is on, that was discounted. And then the other one is the Destroy the Death Star Battle Pack. There are a lot of those sitting on shelves. So
yeah, those need to get clearanced again. I think for a very short period they were on sale, but I think anybody who wanted those at full price has got it. So
right,
Target would be wise to start trying to free up that shelf space, I think.
For sure.
Jimmy says it was actually Gold Leader who flew with Ezra, so maybe they don't have to change anything. That would be just like unbelievable.
So then we got Series 5 out there. The Scout class is still I have only seen I've only seen 2 boxes of it. That's it.
Seen them at GameStops recently.
Nice.
So I've seen him at Hot Topic, I've seen him at GameStops, and I've seen him at Targets. I've not come across any at Walmart yet, but I know Walmart's had them.
Some of my Walmart's got a couple of cases. That's about it.
Really? Man, I have not seen anything in this area. Other than the 2 that I grabbed, and that was it. Like, I haven't seen anything else. Not even, well, actually, I take that back. When they first hit, there was a couple boxes that were sitting around that were ripped open, which is great because I could just get more of those, whatever the Imperial troopers are that are. I just grabbed a couple of those, but yeah, and then you've got Series 5 now, which was taking forever on Amazon to pop up, the light armor class bundles. Those are now pretty much in stock and rolling through Amazon, as well as now they're starting to hit Walmarts on the West Coast. So we should hopefully see that roll out kind of across the states here over the next week or so.
Actually, it was just posted today, wasn't it? The skiff and the 2 the Resistance A-wings.
Yep. Yeah. It doesn't look like there were any chases in there, or if there were, they've gotten picked up already. But you got Kit Fisto and then Vader's Jedi Interceptor that will come with those when they do start hitting more frequently. I mean, again, this is one of those things with Target, man. I just really hope the stuff sells through a Target because they can get that back. I don't see a way that they get that. They bring back light armor class. I just can't see it. I don't know.
Who knows, man? That stuff's always changing, and if you saw that planogram for the Walmart reset, I mean, at least in that setup that they're sending out to stores, that's a lot of pegs of Jazwares. I mean, that's a lot of Micro Galaxy pegs that are
good.
on that.
Yeah.
Like a surprising amount. I don't even know if they'll have. I worry more about them having the actual inventory to put on all in those peg slots. But there's.
Well, it's possible that they have the Series 4 stuff stuck in the
and this is for Series 5. This would coincide with all that Series 5 hitting.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that Target's getting rid of the vintage collection now. So I wonder if that's going to be more pegs for that. The Micro Galaxy.
I don't. They came out and said that's not happening.
Not happening.
It's just the way they roll SKUs out. That was like a crazy thing online that sort of blew up for no reason. Steve came out and confirmed that it's not going anywhere.
Okay. I didn't know too much.
So they've got 4, at least on this, they've got 4 pegs of light armor and 2 pegs of Starfighter.
Wow,
and then they have a spot on the shelf for blind boxes. And then they've got the AT-AT below that. And then
maybe they're getting all of the Target's light armor stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I've also been told that they've got tags rolling out for it's showing that U-Wings are on the way and potentially the ATTE is showing up in the system.
Nice.
So there, who knows the way Walmart operates.
Yeah.
That they had the U-Wing tag out like 6 months ago. So who knows why they do the things they do? But there's at least a small chance that could be coming next month to Walmart's.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I think if they can
in the system, it shows that that's what's going to happen, but who knows? Walmart's going to
get all that stuff going by May 4th. I mean, that would be huge to be able to have all of the Star Wars stuff out there on the shelf.
Yeah, I believe this said the reset was scheduled for it's an early May reset. And West Coast is already getting stuff. So who knows? Yep. Who knows? It would be great. U-Wing was also, I guess people are finding those was it Target that people were finding them?
I saw that, Target.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's great for it to be hitting stores close to, when Amazon is starting to send stuff out. I feel like it gets weird when Amazon has a 3-month lead time to sell it out to everybody. So by the time it hits retail shelves, everybody that's really into the line and wanted it is done, and then you're waiting on, casual collectors or parents that just happen to walk by, and
Right.
then you end up with like the shuttle at Target.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's hope that that all that stuff sells through, so it just keeps going, and the line continues to stay healthy.
That's awesome. I mean, that would be wild if all that product is about to hit Target all at the same time.
I know, yeah. I mean, and then you talk about the, again, the Ghost potentially coming, the ATTE coming. There's a lot of new stuff on the shelves. The other things that we've talked about some in the past or has been hinted at is the Shuttle Tidarium, which is another one where it's like, based on how much they've done in the Imperial Shuttle, it's almost like buy back all the Imperial Shuttles, change the deco on it, throw some new figures, and re-release it,
How would they change the deco, though?
I would imagine they'll make it look dirtier,
Yeah.
to be perfectly honest, because it's supposed to be like an old rundown one versus the Imperial Shuttle.
Well, and the difference would have been more stark if the Emperors had the actual
gray stripe,
correct gray stripe down the front. That would have set it apart a little more from the Tidarium.
Yeah, well, that'd be too much work, though. So then you've got Vault, which happened. So, the great thing about that was the Hoth Battle Pack stayed up there for quite a while.
It was up forever. I think it was a little over 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah.
How was everybody's experience getting it?
Fine on my end. I didn't really run into any specific problems. Certainly the boxes are not in perfect condition. Not like the Scout class.
The purchasing experience was so much smoother than I ever could have imagined. I think there was no hiccup at all with for a minute or two, the layout, once the countdown timer hit 0 and I refreshed, the layout was totally messed up, and I eventually was able to click on the right thing and get to it, but it was whack on mobile and desktop. It looked crazy. But it was great. It was so smooth, got through. Then a couple minutes later realized, oh, there were codes that I missed. So I went back in and ordered another set using the codes, then went back and sent them the message about, hey, can you please cancel order number, whatever. And I think within 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, somebody got back to me and said, yeah, we can cancel that for you. It should be refunded on your card 4 to 6 days, whatever.
Yeah.
So they were responsive. It was super smooth. I wish I had known about the code earlier, but
Agreed.
I mean, it was shocking. Mine, and as far as that, crazy how smooth that was. But yeah, the actual shipping and receiving part of it was, I think, a little bit mixed for some people. Mine took a while to ship out. Mine was maybe a week or more before it left, probably 8 days or so. But both of mine were great, no issues at all.
Yeah,
which doesn't seem to be the case for some people.
For sure, I think I wouldn't be surprised, to learn that there was some issues with the packaging, and so they ended up taking the boxes. What I can imagine is you've got this gigantic pallet of them, and they're going, okay, we need to do X, Y, and Z thing to this. Like, we need to change out the figure box or whatever it is. And they just take the thing off the shelf. They throw it on the table in front of them, which is the reason why the front of the boxes are so jacked up on a lot of them. And then they cut the tape, do whatever, and then reseal it. So mine was resealed as well, as I've seen some other ones for the Hoth Battle Pack, but I didn't have any issues with the QC of the actual items I got. And I got 3 of them all at different times. So I got one for an international friend that was like an order that was placed within the first 5 minutes. And then I got 2 other ones that were placed later in the queue. So it was later that day, I think, or the next day is when I placed them with the discounted code. and all three of mine that I got were all correct in terms of the figure pack looked correct. The front of the box had maybe just a little bit of damage on it. It doesn't make that big of a difference to me, but certainly I would have expected it to be like the Scout class box. The Scout class box was like perfect. I mean, it was pristine coming out of the package.
Mine too.
So I'm hoping that
actually the corner of mine was slightly the corner of the outer box slightly crushed. The actual box totally fine. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, they had to have gone back and done something to these because so many people had stuff that was retaped.
Yeah,
like a lot of people seem to have stuff that was retaped.
For sure.
Fortunately, mine seemed like the outlier that it was correct and had never been, retaped. It just had one set of tape on it.
Yeah,
and was correct.
Now you got a chase, like a super chase there, man.
Do you know what the production date on yours was? Offhand or roundabout? I was just curious.
I have it like literally right there in the corner.
Mine says, let's see, October 11th, maybe.
I got rid of my boxes.
They've been sitting, for several months.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The box I got, the Micro Galaxy logo was kind of like folded a little bit. And then I got the right figures, but one of the labels was wrong. I got two sets of labels that said AT-AT driver, Snow Trooper.
Yeah.
But I got the right figures, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, sitting in a warehouse for four, maybe 5 months, I think some of that wear is bound to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this box here, this was again one of the later one. This was the latest one that I got. This one has just one set of tape on it, for sure. But
and is correct?
Yeah, 10/11/23.
Same.
And yes, it looks good. Man, I've got to say, dude, in my review too, whenever the detail on the figures, you haven't opened yours, have you, Cole?
I have not.
Did you open yours?
I have.
The detail on the helmets of the figures, amazing. Like, absolutely incredible. I couldn't believe it. So like the Zev Sineska, it looks like he just has like a gray dome on the top of his helmet. Doesn't look like there's anything, but there's actually markings on there, which is pretty incredible. And then also the Kit Valant and even with Dak, like the details on there are just sick, unbelievable. I can't believe they can do that well with a figure that's that small.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's such a good set, man. I'm glad they shaved off the $10 from the top and made it just an even 100.
For sure.
And then with the coupon, it was 90. So
right,
85 even.
Yeah, 85 for a lot of people.
Okay, we have $5.
I think both codes, the Welcome 15 and Mobile 10, I think both worked.
Oh man,
so
I'm
gonna try to use Mobile 10 this month and see what it does.
The Welcome 15 you could only use once,
which
was a real kick in between the legs, because I ordered a second AT-AT with that, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna, because I had my original order, and I was like, I don't want to mess it up because I don't want this to be like a problem with the queue. And then, a day or so later, I was like, no, I think I can do this again. And they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't give it to me.
Now that you've got it in hand, how do you feel about the deco and how the set turned out?
I think it's really nice. I like it. The only thing I would say that I'm not as crazy about is the painted on snow. I thought that was embossed.
Molded. Yeah. I sort of agree, but I did originally think it was molded on as well. The closer we got and the more pictures we saw, I kind of thought that was maybe the route they were going to go.
Yeah.
But it's done well enough that it still looks cool. And if you really wanted to, they make you can buy like the hobby bottles of the paint stuff. It's like little white sludge that looks like paint. That would look really, really good on there. But man, it's awesome. Like it really looks good. The only thing it's missing at all for me would be like it's got the great wash that's basically panel lining. I wish it had a little bit of the dirt and rust weathering from the indoor set. You know, if you look at the indoor set, some of these molded pieces have like streaks of rust essentially coming down from them.
Yep.
If they had just a tiny bit of that, it would be the perfect AT-AT. I mean, but the orange looks great. The orange pops on the snow speeder. I love that.
Not a fan of that spider looking blast mark though.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, on the side of it.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just a little bit too much.
Right. I would agree. I think that probably does look like a little too much, but
I wouldn't be mad with them re-releasing a snow speeder that's orange in the line with no battle damage.
Yep, that would be another good way to be able to get that out there.
I'd buy it again.
Wedge.
I'm a sucker. Sucker and a shill. I would buy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a good set for sure. I would say definitely surprising it stayed up for as long as it did. I think the hard part about it, I was messaging somebody the other day about really just the timing between the two of the Scout class box set as well as that it's hard to really tell how are these releases going to go. Most people have all the Scout stuff. So it's like
I've been thinking about that a lot. I do think the others are going to go a lot faster.
Right. Because the Scout class, pretty much everybody has it, you know, and you're really going to pay $60 for basically the box. I mean,
and Series 3 have probably been the easiest to find.
Yeah.
I mean, more stores had Series 3 blinds than any series so far.
For sure.
And have consistently had those light armor bundles up on Amazon.
Right.
For ages, and they've been on sale a bunch of times too. So my guess is tons and tons and tons of people that are in the line already had a lot of these. And if they didn't, they weren't going to spend $60 on it.
Yeah. For future waves, I mean, yeah, dude, I'm in. Like anything that they can do pre-order like this, where, you know, and that was one thing that was mentioned in the past as well, as the ability to potentially pre-order stuff. Shoot.
Yeah, and I know Damon mentioned earlier, like, essentially, is this just going to make people wait? Why shop in the store and wait? You know, but it is only 1,500, and I think in their minds, 1,500 is just a drop in the bucket if you're making 80,000 of them.
Oh yeah,
I have no idea how many they're making. I have no clue. If it's Series 1, I think they made 5 million of them, but.
Right.
I'm just being an idiot. I have no actual data on how many they made, but
yeah, I would agree. I think the hard part about it, not on you being an idiot, but I would agree with what you're saying. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Certainly, there's a lot of people out there that want to get Ayla that never got Ayla.
It'll be really interesting. Series 4, I think, is the big test. Series 4 light armor is the big one. That's the one I've got circled. You know, it's like, okay, that land speeder, that red tie, this thing is the one that to me could sell out in 2 minutes, you know, potentially. So who knows if that doesn't sell out in the first 10 minutes, then that's great for, you know, us, the collectors that are super into the line, but it's a little surprising. And you wonder, does that correlate well with the actual popularity of the line? Does the common person just not know that the vault exists? That may be, you know, it's brand new. That's also possible. I think collectors that aren't terminally online, you know, they may not, you know, they probably have no idea what the vault is. So
sure.
Hopefully they don't. More chances for us.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, then that's, I think, one of the tricky parts about the vault is, yes, I hope that it lasts for a while. I hope that it's on there for 10 or 15 minutes or maybe an hour or something like that. That would be huge for a lot of us, because then that means, potentially two things. One is that we are the hardcore group of collectors that's going to be the ones that really want it all. And so that's great because we have this curated community of that. But the other thing is then, well, maybe there's not actually 1,500 of them. Maybe there's 3,000 of them. And they're just saying, hey, we're only going to have 1,500 of them, and even though they have a ton. So certainly when you think about
you'll join the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you look at but then again, to the same degree, when you talk about the Hoth Battle Pack, I mean, how many hundreds of those, if there was 3,000 of them, how many hundreds of those or thousands of them were picked up by us? I mean, that would be a good poll to do, is to see how many people actually got it and how many did you get. Because once they opened it up to where you could get multiple, I mean, I'm
people
sure
were buying 3, 4, or 5.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I wonder whether or not that isn't the case, where it's like, yeah, let's go ahead and put a 3,000 sticker on it. Let's do 5,000 of them or something. And
if they had enough people reaching out to support with issues about they weren't happy with the packaging, or saw a couple people mention the red lights on the cannons weren't working on theirs.
Right.
Somebody had one of the, the panel in the middle that's removable had no wash on it. It's things like that. They may have, if they saw any kind of trend in that, they may have been like, okay, we need to pull down a couple, a little more of these than we thought for returns and replacements and things like that.
Sure.
It's possible too, if that's the case, that once the return period is over, or whatever you call it, if they think they're in the clear, they could potentially go back up on the vault with a few more. I think that's a possibility too, something like that, where they realize, okay, we don't need any more of these for replacements. We can put up the last 24 that we have.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
the other part of it too, when you're looking at Starfighter and light armor class and stuff as well, and them starting to push those out, is I think they hear us loud and clear about the chases. I mean, if you saw their marketing thing was, hey, if you couldn't find it, here it is. It's like, no duh. Yes, nobody could find it. And so that's where everybody was getting so frustrated. I think that they must know that and hear that a lot, of this is so ridiculous. I mean, especially for a brand as big as Star Wars, for you to limit it to that small of a quantity just seems silly. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, as we've talked about, like, putting the sticker on it ensures that 40% of your line is going to get picked up, because people are just going to pick it up because it has the sticker. Yeah. So that's an advantageous thing. As long as they're as easy to find as what they have been, then keep it going. It doesn't make that big of a difference.
How are you feeling about this next set coming up next week? I assume you'll be picking it up.
Oh yeah,
Dave.
If they allow 2, I'm picking up 2.
I'm passing because there's nothing I want. The only thing I would really want would be the TIE Fighter, but I already have 2 of them. As for the time and how long it'll be on, I don't think it's going to be up like it was the AT-AT. Maybe, I want to say a day.
There's a lot of people that missed out on Plo and Ayla, so it'll be interesting, or one of the two.
I can't see it being up for 2 weeks.
I think a big question is the price.
Do we have a price?
No. So back at Celebration, back at Comic-Con last year when they had the panel,
50?
They announced 50.
No way.
But the fact that the Scout class went up $10, I've seen people speculating as high as $80 for this, just because that's what Walmart sells them for. But that's not the actual retail price. And they've got a whole retail partner that's cut out. They're cutting out a middleman that's making, a good chunk of that margin. So I feel like they can afford to shave. They can afford that smaller margin on them
Yeah,
because
think
it's all
70 makes
direct.
sense.
I was gonna guess 70 too.
I'd be fine with 70. I believe 50 is technically the new MSRP price, the $9.99 price point that they're supposed to be now would be 50.
Yeah.
60 if you include maybe they're padding it with packaging. A lot of that packaging cost they can kind of, I guess, send our way. But if you're starting to get into 70, 75, I think some people are going to be turned off just because a lot of people have them. I think the majority of people buying these, I would venture to say almost everybody that's going to be buying these are rebuying several of the ships in the package. You're buying them for the rares in the chase. Because if you're hardcore enough to be buying this from the vault and know when it's going live, you're into the line enough that you probably bought these on release.
Yeah.
So I bet 90% of the people buying them are just buying them for either Ayla or Plo.
Yeah.
And the higher that price point gets, the closer you come to like, well, maybe I'll just wait and see what eBay does, But the packaging looks great. I noticed they went with that like comic panel kind of design for the box on this one.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that might be a thing going forward with some of these. It's cool. It looks kind of like manga. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's an interesting.
Yeah, it'll be
design
interesting
choice.
to see. Like, I think we should probably run that poll on the group of just who picked up the AT-AT, and how many did you pick up? Like, who picked up one, who picked up multiple? I think it'd be interesting to see that.
I'll do that.
But yeah, the certainly I think when you're looking at this light armor class. Yeah, I don't know about the Starfighter class. That's one of those where I'm like, yeah,
I don't need anything from that. So that's going to be the first one. I'm like, do I?
Yeah.
The guy who feels like I have to buy it all.
Yes, I'll get one.
Do I pass on that? I mean, it's like at $100. Do I need it? I don't. And that was the price last year was $100, I believe. So
yeah, I mean, I would definitely
Who
get one of
knows?
those to get to have it all essentially. But yeah, I mean, I think I have 3 or 4 of the Poe. So
I have one Grievous and one Poe. So I would be spending $100 to have one of each to keep in a box.
Right.
So honestly, the Poe doesn't mean that much to me. So I might just open the one that I have and not have a second one boxed. I think I'd totally be okay with that as well. So
yeah, then we got.
I might pass on it. That's my hope that maybe we'll have something else next month to go along with that. I'm curious just to see what this cadence looks like of exclusives.
Yeah.
And is there a new battle pack that
Yeah, maybe
when is this indoor set coming out? I'm not actually that into the indoor set. That'll be all. Again, it's stuff I've got. That'll be all packaging, I guess, to me. What how attractive is the set? How cool is the packaging? I guess the ATST is re-decoed, right?
That's what it says.
So I mean, there's a chance it could look amazing, and I'd jump on that. But
yeah.
Honestly, if they just release an ATST that's closer to gray instead of brown, I would
bet that they will, because the one thing that they did change about the Snowspeeder between the Series 2 Snowspeeder and the Snowspeeder in the Battle Pack is the wash. The wash on the Snowspeeder, the Series 2 one, is more of like a brownish color. You don't even realize it until you flip it over. But this one is much more of a gray, it looks way more like it should. So yeah, I would imagine the same thing with the ATST, that they'll do it in a more gray color. They'll change the wash so it'll look a lot better. mean, they've made some huge improvements from the beginning of the line to now.
It's wild. Yeah, I mean everything. It's crazy. It just
You must have listened to us with the brown wash because it's nowhere now.
Yeah, there's been a couple things that have had it that have been like a very light one, but yeah, they've definitely gotten rid of the heavy wash, which has been nice. They did replace it more with that, dark panel lining for like you have with the U-wing.
Yeah, which is great on some.
Nice.
The Ghost is a little heavy. It looks amazing on the U-wing. I mean, they nailed that.
I can't believe how wide this thing is.
I know. I think I measured it's like 15 inches or something.
Yeah, I think when I measured it at 18 inches, I didn't click it all the way. I think it was out like this.
Oh.
It was not all the way in, but then I found afterwards. And man, what a lucky catch on the whole wing thing about the screw on the bottom. Because I was looking at it and I was like, after I did my review, I was like, this just doesn't make sense. I was like, why the heck does this thing keep popping off? And as I was moving it around, I was like, it's not hitting anything. So then I was like, maybe it's just, and as I was moving it, I could see that the little panel right here that's above it and below it, I could see that as I was pushing it through, it was bending upwards. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, maybe if I just unscrew this a titch, and I did that, and it opens perfect.
How are the engines on yours? Because the one I have, the bottom one is like tilting up a little bit.
Yeah, mine are kind of the same way. On the one side looks pretty close. No, they're both a little bit off.
This side's like really noticeable.
Yeah,
and I didn't notice until I started looking at it from the side. But I put in for a replacement.
Maybe in like I think mine are fine. I don't even notice it really. It might be the tiniest bit angled upward, but
yeah, I can see it on the top ones. The top ones look a little bit off, but again, I don't think it's enough that it's going to bother me that much. I mean, you can see it right there on that picture. Like this one right here is going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had zero issues with mine at all.
Yeah, you must not be as nitpicky as I am, because I've run into so many damn problems.
I've had zero QC issues with any of mine, any one I've ever bought. The only thing remotely like that were when they did some of those Grand Army ones had the speeders that were
backwards ones.
That piece was glued on backwards.
The suicide cannons.
I just returned a couple of them to the store and waited until I found one that was fine, and that was the only thing that even remotely was a QC issue. Now, I know everything I open now will be everything I open now will be just a train wreck because I've said that. But
yeah,
I mean,
I feel like you definitely
mine
have
popped
to get
right in, snapped, open, close, everything, no issues.
Wow.
This thing is amazing. It's so good. It's just wild. I like the size. I think because of the wings, if this were bigger, what would you do with it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this opens up so large that you're starting to get into like TVC territory. You know, it's like, okay, where do I put I have to really make a place to put this and display this piece. So I love the size of it. The playability is amazing. The little turret that's in there is.
I love the door, man. I can't believe that the door, not only does it pop out, but then it slides.
It's a cool design. Although I will say it's a little tricky to use in general.
You know what they should do? This is what they need for the LAAT. You know, when you
and again, I think it's like a Series 2 design versus a Series 5 design. You know,
right? Yeah, but no, it's
cool. I bet if they did those now, they would probably do that. And I think if they went back and did another gunship variant that was closed up like that, yeah, I think people would buy that
closed and with the short cannons on the top.
People would buy it up, make it a
For sure.
store exclusive. Put it at Walmart, put it at Target. Somebody
it was mentioned in the past. I mean, that's a good point too. If we talk about some of the stuff that's been mentioned in the past, which has typically all come to fruition one way or the other. You got the LAAT, which could be another release with the doors. You got the Shuttle Tidarium with that could also be released. You've got the what's the other big one that you got? The Bad Batch with the figures that have the newer like season 2 deco on it. So that
but do you think they do that? Do you think they'd re-release the Marauder?
I don't know. It's kind of a shame that the thing got blown up.
It got the Razor Crest treatment for sure. That was spoilers. Spoilers for Bad Batch people. Sorry. It went the way of the Razor Crest.
I know, it's kind of a shame. I think that's you could potentially do a battle damage version of it or whatever, but yeah. And then you got the Orange Snowspeeder you could potentially release. There's so many other things that you could do. But
I don't know that I would buy another Marauder.
Yeah,
I don't. Well, I would buy it. I don't know that I want another Marauder. I don't even really like the season 2 looks. So, yeah, just give me some generic speeder that has crosshair, and I'll be done with Bad Batch. I think.
Yeah.
Throw crosshair in there somehow.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the next exclusive is. I hope we get something cool here on Vault soon.
For sure.
I don't know when they'll. Yeah, I'm curious how I guess they'll just use social media to let us know about the next exclusives. I don't know that we're gonna get. There's no panel or anything like that until Comic-Con.
Yeah, really.
And Comic-Con was a shared panel with all of Jazwares, so we may not see much from, even if they do that again. I don't think we'll see full waves. They'll just hit some highlights of upcoming stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, and hopefully we get some cool May 4th stuff. It might just be the Ghost. I'd actually love to see some confirmation of that. Would be awesome. But
yeah,
who knows?
Agreed.
I know Max said the Vault was going to be starting with Series 3, but I wish it started with Series 2.
Although in Series 2, like what do we need other than Sabine? That's basically it.
Maybe Merrick too.
Yeah.
I mean, I have Merrick, but I'm just saying, not many people do.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't mind them going back and doing a Series 2 combo. You could do light armor and Starfighter together or something like that.
Just the fact that it barely hit anywhere.
Right.
At least in the States.
I love Yoda's Jedi Starfighter Jedi Interceptor is cool. I mean, that is really cool. I think that's a great one. But yeah, you got Hera and Sabine, and yeah. I mean, we could definitely do more X-Wings. The one interesting thing about it, like as I've got all of the box versions up here on the wall. All of the chase versions of the Starfighter class are all X-Wings.
What's funny is the only chases I have ever found in store, in person, personally myself, Sabine and Merrick.
Nice.
Those are the only 2 chases I've ever found.
Wow, that's great.
The only chase I came across was Merrick at a GameStop. But that was for somebody else. So technically, I still have yet to find a chase for myself.
The only thing that I have not found in stores is Ayla. I found literally everything else. All of the other chases and rares.
Well, that's easy when you drive past like 4 targets on the way to work.
Yeah, it does help. That does help. I could only imagine like for like if I had a schedule that didn't allow for that. Yeah, this would be maddening. I'd be out.
Well, now I'm off the phone, so actually I've been actually going out during work. Don't tell anybody. But
yeah, who do you work for again?
Hmm?
Yeah, I'm making that call tomorrow, man. Hey, you know that guy Dave? You know when you're trying to reach out to him and you can't get him? He says he's in the restroom.
Hey, I got Teams on my phone.
He's out buying toys.
There you go, man. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people that don't have time to go, and yeah, absolutely, man. If you don't have time to go, you're screwed. I mean, there's just no way. The only thing that was beneficial was here with Series 5 as it got released. That a lot of times you had Series 3 on the pegs, and Series 5 would get released, so only one item gets put out, and then you have the opportunity to potentially get one that's in the back. So that's been beneficial for sure, being able to capture some of those.
Yeah, man, a lot of Series 3 still at Target.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been fortunate that a lot of it's been purchased out of the stores that I go by. One store was down to one V-Wing. The V-Wing sold, so it's completely empty. And they put out another case of Series 3.
They had it there the whole time.
Yep. Yeah, it was just I think it's just a common one. I didn't even see anything in there. But yeah, I was hoping that maybe they'd have Grievous or something like that. But yeah, no, not really. There's one Target that's in this area that they haven't stocked anything in there. They haven't stocked anything in their toy section in probably 2.5 months. I mean, there is like literally nothing. Like all the new G.I. Joe stuff that came out and all of the new Black Series stuff that's come out and everything, none of that has touched that store, which is pretty wild. I'm surprised. And then what else do we have? That was kind of it, right? There was the vault that we were going to talk about, and then wasn't there one other thing?
Yeah, we had vaults. The Series 5 stuff is starting to hit Walmarts.
Yeah.
And then just the Target, the Episode 1 collection.
Episode 1, yeah. The Bongo looks great. Looks really good. I'm surprised.
Large and difficult to display.
It is very difficult to display.
Because especially it is very long.
Right. Especially when you only have shelves that are 10 inches deep.
Right. I might end up removing the little tail from mine.
That is nice, though. I think of the other vehicles that we get where you have something like that attaches to it. Here it is right next to me. It's bigger than my head. But
huge.
It is nice that you can actually pull the tail off. Unlike the N1 Starfighter, when you attach that thing, or like the Scythe, when you put the little things on the front of that, they do not come off.
Yep.
So you can pull the tail off, which is pretty cool. I do like that this part back here is transparent as well. I mean, that looks really cool. If you put some lights in this thing, man.
I was going to say, throw a couple LEDs in that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And the stand is amazing too, right?
Stand is great.
Thing. I think you've got to display it sideways. And that's pretty much the only way to have it happen, right?
Yep. I did see somebody had the
ball joint, man. Those ball joint stands. I wish that was on everything. I wish they all had ball jointed stands.
Totally agree. And then you got the what was I going to say? The OPC killer that somebody has had out there that I guess it was like the old 3 3/4 version of it, but the chomping onto it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put some pictures up. Those are pretty cool. But yeah, they did a great job. It's a shame it's going to sell clearance.
We'll see. I don't know. Some of them will. Yeah. I as long as there's not a massive second wave of them, I think they'll be okay.
Although I'm waiting for the next ones that are going to come, because the next few that are going to come out, I think are going to be sick. Where you got the Sith Infiltrators going to be coming, and then you got the ATTE, which is coming, which would be really exciting. You got Ghost, which is coming, and then we saw all of those leaks of Series 6 and 7, which again, I think that's one of those where
varying degrees of exciting.
Yeah, that's one of those. Yes,
there's some cool stuff. There's a few in there that it's not.
I just hope that what we're seeing with that mix of what it is not the actual mix that we get. if they spread out those items over like a couple different series, that would work out great. But if you put all of those in 2 series, those things are not going to sell.
And that's, and that's why I didn't. One of the reasons I didn't run with it is just because you never know the way that stuff gets into the computer, and with the waves and stuff like that. I think with the way we've seen things change with Series 5, significant changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think all that stuff is like a huge grain of salt.
Yeah.
Some of that could have gotten pushed. Some of it could have gotten canceled. I think if it's made it to the point where there's a skew in their system, it's probably not getting outright canceled. But
yeah,
who knows what, things could have gotten moved up. I don't know.
Pushed back. Let's hope so. I think that would be a good thing. Yeah, Katie, there was some things that were leaked a few weeks back, which I don't even know where the post went anymore. But with basically what the Series 6 and 7 is going to look like, although they're all just random placeholder SKUs. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's just hope it's not all that. They look cool. I would say a few of them definitely look really cool, but a few of them are kind of like, that's not going to resonate with a lot of people. So
well, and I think that's part of the reason you see Armada class is because the longer the line goes, the more obscure, the deeper the cuts. I think they're going to be reaching into more obscure stuff.
Yeah, like to do,
and
like
then they'll be relying on new media to help. The problem right now is we don't have a lot of new media. Once the films start hitting every other year, or whatever that rhythm starts to be,
yeah,
I think we'll see, I think things will be different. And really, if the line just can bide its time with the existing trilogies and the Disney Plus shows a little bit.
I think you've got to have an OP ship in each.
They've got to just make it until the movies start coming out, because that's where a lot of the hype and the, they're going to be pushing a lot of that new merchandise hard, Lucasfilm and retailers. So,
right. Well, I mean, you get a lot more X-Wings to do. I mean, gosh, you can do Porkins, you can do, Red 4, you can do whatever. You can do
Partisan X-Wing.
Red Leader, you got Carson Teva, you got, I mean, you could just literally do tons of X-Wings. So, I mean, you just have to have an X-Wing in each series, but not always have them as the chase, because some people are going to want to get multiple of them to either customize them or whatever. Just do a generic one.
Armada makes sense to me. I know a lot of people may not want or need to pick them up that are hardcore into the line, but because they'll feel like they have them. But
that's how you get all of the other people.
I do think it's a solid business move to have some of those evergreen vehicles packed in with those waves. I know Luke was packed in with Wave 4. Is that what it was? Wave 4. We started seeing some Lukes hit Walmart as well.
But not updated deco on it.
Right. But they're
the
right.
wash wasn't as prominent.
They're not on shelves anymore.
The wash on Luke's X-Wing in the new case, the wash wasn't prominent.
It definitely wasn't as bad as the initial one, for sure. But I mean, I was hoping that you'd get an updated R2
helmet.
But you're not. So, but you could still do that. I mean, yes, Luke's X-Wing is going to sell all the time. Like you can release that every other series and be fine. And the other thing too is just like a standard TIE fighter.
Yeah.
That would be another one that would be a good one to get. Because I mean, shoot, I got a hangar that I need 2 TIE fighters to fit in, and I don't want to get 4 battle damage TIE fighters so that I can get the wings to put them all together.
Most of mine came from that battle pack that had the 2 packed in with it.
What's that?
The TIE fighters, any of the extras that I had, I just got.
Oh, yeah.
That battle pack. And that's another way to get some of those back out there is, repacking some of these in battle packs.
Sure.
But yeah, I feel like we're now that the Hoth set is out, we don't know a lot about what's coming, other than the Ghost and the ATTE. You know, that we've seen some of the stuff that's leaked, but there's all these big sets. We only know that because they happen to mention something to Paul at this thing. You know, it's not like there was a big panel and we got to see, you know, what big battle packs and exclusives are coming.
Sure.
But I'm sure they're still working on them and they're still on the way. So
yeah, I think you could.
I'm excited to see what all they've got for us in that regard.
Yeah, and do the N1, do 2 N1s, one battle damage, one not with just 2 generic Naboo pilots, and then 2 Vulture droids, one standard, 1 battle damage without the
I actually thought that's how they were going to release these until that post came out showing them off. I was kind of shocked that they were making a Starfighter an exclusive to a store.
Yeah.
I know they said.
Now, what if they do that with some of these other things, though, too? What if they do those as, like, now it's a Clone Wars collection or, you know, an Episode 2 collection? That would be awesome, man.
I'd love to see it with Vault.
Sure.
Throw some. I think part of the reason some of the MGS stuff stayed up so long is because they were the 2 highest priced items on that Vault release. And my guess is they will continue to be one of the highest priced items on there with these collector sets. So, I mean, my mind is, why wouldn't you want a lower price? You know, put a $20 repaint on there. You know, get an exclusive repaint on there at $20.
The other stuff that went up on Vault, the non-Star Wars stuff, do we know how those sold? Do they go out quick or do they stay up?
The one thing, the Malachi guy that had like the antlers or whatever, that sold out pretty quickly.
That day.
Yeah.
He sold out that day, but it was several hours later, I believe.
But I don't think any of the other stuff is sold out. Fortnite stuff is still up there. The Rings of Honor is still up there. From what I've seen. So,
which to me is, it's either people don't know about Vault or the offerings weren't quite as attractive as maybe they thought they were going to be.
Sure.
Or a mix of the two, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I am curious. And the Y-Wing finally sold out from Jazwares' website.
Yeah, that sold out actually right before Vault. Unless it popped back up, because I had looked at that and I was going to get a couple of them, and then, you know, the day before it said they were sold out.
Yeah.
I just need another bomber.
Is the Call of Duty figure still up? Yeah. That's surprising to me. You wonder what Jazwares is thinking right now. I mean,
they're probably thinking, well, what they should be thinking is, man, these whole exclusive ideas of limiting these things is pretty freaking stupid.
Or they're thinking, man, we made too many of these. We should do like runs of 500.
Right.
So then
it doesn't even make up for the cost of the tooling.
I know.
It's like,
the only things that have sold out are that Malachi Black and the Hoth set.
Yeah.
Only 2 things sold out.
And the Hoth set took what, 2 weeks?
Yeah. So I mean that's interesting. I wonder what they're sitting in their offices chatting about, you know, in terms of, you know, they probably have several months of this stuff already in production, much less planned out. So
sure.
You know, I don't know what kind of pivot you do, whether it's pricing or you try to market the site a little harder.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't care. Maybe when it sells out, it sells out. You know, but who knows? But I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those discussions.
Same. As well as I would love to see production numbers. Like, man, wouldn't that be cool to be able to see like how many were actually produced? Like how many X-Wings were actually produced? How many of like the common first
in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I think that would give people a lot of and almost nobody releases that info. That's just stuff that you don't, for whatever reason, you don't really get that info. But it would give you a lot of context for some of the things that continue to come up, right?
Yeah.
It would be nice to have that context. We know Series 1 was way overproduced.
Right.
But, how many Sabines actually made it out? It's interesting. I don't even think I'd be really curious what the comments for Series 2 were before GameStop picking them up. What are we talking about? Like less than 15,000 or less than 20,000 of some of the tank.
Yeah, the tank for sure is one where it's like that had to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that was less than 25,000.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
We'll never know, man. It'll all be conjecture forever.
Yeah, unless someone gets scorned and releases it to us.
Yeah, and hopefully this goes smooth here this week. For those who are watching, Wednesday at noon is when the light armor class box set will be going up on the vault. So anybody that's
Eastern.
Yep, 12 Eastern.
Noon Eastern.
Wednesday the 24th.
They were right on time with the previous one, which is great. Thank God that was like not a disaster.
Everything worked great. I don't know.
The site loaded a little bit slow at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But then right after that, everything was smooth.
Sweet. Well, team, I think that's all we've got here, unless you guys have anything. Anybody else out there in the internet world have any questions? You can go ahead and pop them in there in the comments. All right, team. Well, I think we covered everything here. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. I would imagine we'll be back here in a couple weeks or so, probably somewhere around May 4th, I would imagine, as we get more information about what's coming. So, thanks for tuning in, Dave and Cole.
If we go 2 weeks, it'll actually be May 3rd.
May 3rd? I don't know if May 3rd.
My guess is if there's something really big, we might have heard something.
Yeah, prior to then.
By then, even if it's just PR blasts going out, like, hey, check social media at this time for updates or pre-orders. My guess is we'll have something. We'll have some kind of info, because you don't want to. I think you'd want to know about that, right? You wouldn't just drop the pre-order. You want people to have a little bit of a heads up and then drop the pre-order on May the 4th. But who knows? A lot of that stuff does not follow conventional. I won't say wisdom, but sometimes I don't fully understand why those things work the way they do. There's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes. Who knows?
I would also, if you have a Twitter, or it's called X now, if you have an account, I would recommend following Jeremy Potterware, because then he'll put out some updates too.
Yep.
Yeah, he puts out.
All right. There we go.
Maybe don't turn notifications on for him. That he tweets quite a bit, but check it often, I guess.
He X's quite a bit. Actually, I don't even know if you can call it a tweet anymore.
I will never call it anything but a tweet.
Tweet? Although it's past tense, which means it's actually a... All right. With that one, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully we'll catch everybody on May the 3rd. We'll try to plan on doing something then and see how it pans out. All right, everybody.